Hello my friends and welcome back. It is episode, I want to say 37. Or is it 35? Oh, it's 35. And it's been a couple of days. It's been a couple of days since I last played. And the reason why is, for me, this kind of deployment is sort of one of the most painful parts of deploying. So I've unequipped all the heroes here in advance. So let me just put some of these high grade units away. So why is it painful for me to do this deployment in particular? And the answer is pretty simple. It's the previous deployment was a meta deployment, if you will, and if you haven't watched my video developing your standard, you should watch that video. Developing your standard is not just about having an adaptable force that can deal with any situation. It's also having intimate knowledge of the capabilities of your force at all times. Because if you know exactly what your army's capabilities are, exactly what each unit does, you've camouflaged them in certain ways, so you know which ones are which and which ones do whatever, that really benefits you strategically, because even if your force is not exactly optimal for the enemy you're facing, your use of a force that you are intimately familiar with will be optimal, or be more optimal. And so now I've got to put it all back together how it was, which is just a pain. Some people sort of, think it's nice to have a fresh start. That, that is useful, but I find that that's not so useful. So we're just gonna have a look through and see what's new, and basically nothing is new. We have received some Panzer IVEs. As prototypes. I'm not a fan of the IVE. It is the anti-infantry tank. If you see the direct comparison with the 3H here, basically one is anti-infantry, the other is somewhat more anti-tank. The thing is, having a huge anti-infantry stat, it doesn't really help you as much as you would think, because infantry's defense is not really going up until 1942. In 1942, infantry gets upgraded to the 1942 variants. I think it's 1942. It might be 1941, but I'm pretty sure it's 1942. They get upgraded to the 1942 variant, and then it does matter because their defense goes up a reasonably decent amount. And so you need that extra infantry stopping power to actually really hurt them with tanks. But then you will have better multi-role tanks then by that point anyway. But the general point is that the difference between 13 and 16, or even the difference between 13 and I guess 14, which is the F, the difference there in anti-hard is actually pretty important. Because if you look at my prototypes here, they have defenses of 14 and 15 respectively. And the old Flam Waffle here has got 12. Which, by the way, is the superior anti-infantry tank, but I generally don't use it. Because I've got infantry for doing that, which is just much better at the role. But the point is that makes the difference between your attack value actually being higher than the enemy's defense, and your attack value being lower, and that's pretty significant, or that's pretty important. And if you look back, let's say the T-26 back in the day, even that has got 12 defense, and heaven forbid you're up against something like the KV or the Matilda Mark II, which I think enjoys 18 ground defense. You're looking, if you've got 16 anti-tank or 14 anti-tank, you can penetrate this. It's hard, but you can penetrate it. If you're rolling around with 12 anti-tank, or 13 in this case, then it's going to be harder. Considerably harder. So anyway, just my thoughts on these prototypes. But going back to before, you know, resetting up your standard is a pain in the ass, basically, because if you make mistakes with it, then you'll think that you know the exact capabilities of your force, and then you won't have those exact capabilities, and you'll be like, ah, I have bollocksed up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring in the most obvious ones. I am a big fan of this tank, and I've stopped using it because it's basically maxed out. It's actually got a hard attack of 15, believe it or not, and a ground defense of 14, so it continues to be one of the better tanks that I have. Plus, of course, it's got amazing movement and initiative. They should have just made nothing but these things. Win the war. They would have won the war. Right, so the first things first is, obviously, my KVs are, you know, an interesting and critical part of my army, so let's put them back together how they were. The obvious thing to do with them, 0 slots for 1. Then we have field repairs and you know, I don't even know what I kept on it previously. We could put anything, really. No retaliation's quite solid. So that this guy can just roll in and squish the enemy without any trouble. Ignores entrenchment is also a good one. Oops. I don't really need to do that, though. That's the only thing. That's not something I actually need to do. Let's put aiming assistance on it, because it's a hard target. So it can do, offensively, it'll be totally fine. Aiming assistance, it'll always be on the front line. It can support other units with that. And, of course, it can do that with artillery mode from behind the front line. Now, once again, I'm putting my my field repairs heroes on these because they will enjoy the benefits of the, you know, the limited supply that I have will never run out as long as I look after them properly, which I will. We can do a sort of similar thing here. We can put leadership on this one. And we'll put reduced slots on this one. I believe that's what I did previously. I have 2 0-slot heroes, and the other one I use for my 21 centimeter. Which, if we look at the map here, we've got artillery here, only 105 mil. We've got 2 15 centimeter guns here. Looks like there's plenty of opportunities for the 21 centimeter to do its magic. Okay, and then this guy we were using as a capture device. So we set this one up with no retaliation. And then overwhelming attack and wherever it's gone. Overwhelming attack so that the enemy can't get away, and envelopment together. Okay, cool. None of these tanks, as of yet, have got any steamroll, but that's by design, of course. Okay, now we normally have at least 2 infantry in our standard. I've been training up these pioneers, and I'm pretty sure it was these ones. They haven't got any medals, though. These guys have got some medals, but not as much experience, which is perplexing. Wow, that's really weird. Exactly 100 close combats and exactly 400 infantry points destroyed. What are the odds of that? So these guys must be close. Yeah. 50 close combats. It's 50 close combats for the first level. They're getting there. So the Abbeville infantry, of course, is very, very good and very, very overpowered. Trying to avoid using it too much because it's, you know, I'm just wasting potential farm. Remembering that the brain is melting away here. Remembering that this is early war, and early war is easy war. So, you know, later on down the line, we're going to be struggling to stay alive. That's when we need to worry about this kind of stuff. Okay, and hit and run goes on these boys because the extra initiative means that any hero that adds extra initiative works great with hit and run. The inferior version of no retaliation, but it can be just as good as long as you have a unit with some kind of bonus initiative. Really helps it out. Let's put no surrender on them as well. Why not? Now, I've actually been tempted to put aggressive deployment on these guys because pioneers are quite slow. An aggressive deployment allows you to actually move them at high speed across the map without actually having to worry about them falling behind everything else because they've only got two. They got plenty of movement with transport, but they've only got 2 movement without two ability to move and attack, and that doesn't even guarantee that they can move 2 tiles. Alright, let's shove no surrender on these guys as well. Of course, they already ignore entrenchment, so they got no problem there. We could make this like our river team, I suppose. Let's go with no retaliation on these guys, and let's go with... What the hell? Let's run fast deployment on these. It's not what I normally do, but... Looking at the map, there's a lot of close terrain around. I might want to dive these guys in somewhere. Now, one thing that I do want to do is bring down their combat strength, because they're costing me a lot of core slots. But I do want them to have a little bit of strength, because otherwise they'll get chipped down too quickly. Okay, alright. So our old core is starting to take shape. Actually, before I do that, before I start divesting in artillery, what I am going to do is I am going to squirrel away some money. as I can. Although we have had a prestige. We have had a big fat prestige cost for commendations so far, so we may actually have already outlived the prestige thieving that goes on in this. But there's no compelling reason for me to have thousands and thousands of prestige. It makes things hard to understand as well. It's you know, when you got thousands and thousands and thousands of prestige, it hurts you mentally, because you're like, how much prestige did I have, and how much have I made, and how much have I lost? And you know, when it's some big absurd number, your mind actually struggles to process big numbers. So there we go, a much more reasonable 4,000. We can work with that. Okay, so let's get the artillery run. The artillery done. This artillery is very close to everything maxed out. Let's bench that one, because it really is quite over-leveled. Let's bench that one for now, and let's sort this one out. This is sort of the period where the waffle starts to become really, really quite naff as well, because the high attack values of the 21 centimeter means it's pretty much going to penetrate no matter what. The lower values of the waffle, especially on its anti-tank stats, means that we will soon reach the point where it will struggle to penetrate anything. And that's when you know, it having double strike starts to not matter. Okay, so we'll go lethal attack on this one. Obviously need to add, should we add that, or should we put it on the other one? I think the 21 centimeter enjoys plenty of range and ammunition. Ah, what the hell. Let's go crazy. Where are you? I have 1 double slots left. There we go. 1 0 slots, I should say. Okay, so if this one's going to be our fixed position annihilator, then we're going to set this one up as our rapid deployment one. Now, interestingly, double strike here can be very useful. We do have deep ammunition pockets with this thing. 5 ammo. The thing about double strike is it's difficult to actually use, because you hit someone and they run away, and then you've already used your movement, so you can't hit them again. It's more difficult than you think to actually strike twice, which is why I like it on aircraft, because aircraft very rarely can kill in one hit. So then double strike actually gets the kill, and units don't retreat from aircraft attacks, so they won't squirm out from under your strike. But anyway, we'll put fast deployment on this one. What else is there to do? Let's put reduced slots on it. What the hell, we'll put double strike on it. We can use it for artillery busting. For entrenchment busting, I should say. Okay, so our core is coming back together. What is missing? What is missing is, of course, reconnaissance, anti-air. I really wish that these would float to the top. It just actually seems to be random. I think I'm going to bring some of my good recon just to actually start leveling it up. I'll possibly just demote it to this motorbike infantry and utilize it. Oh look, they've retained their camo even though you can't normally camo them. Huh, that's great. Alright, sweet, that's pleasing. Speaking of which, I've got the Panhard as well, which is also a good piece of kit, but it's a bit soft and it doesn't have double strike rapid fire. Alright, let's shuffle these in. 13 strength seems reasonable. Okay. Right, so that's most of my core now. My standard put back together before I even look at the map and start deciding what I want to do in terms of the map. I'm just trying to put my units back, put my army back together. So, running 2 infantry, running 2 recons, pretty standard. 2 artillery, 2 anti-air. Makes for a solid core. 2 fighters, 2 tacticals. We're now bringing the strategic bombers to pretty much every occasion. And you'll have the opportunity here to bring the DO 217E back out, which has superior stats, except it's not good against ships, which is the only reason why we traded it out last time. Do we 15 over strength is that's actually reasonable because they're only two slots. Obviously, I could cut them down to 10 and free up 3 slots. There's something to think about. There's obviously no need to run these at inefficient levels of overstrength. But I do like my fighters at 14 strength. Especially now we have 2 very separate and unique fighter heroes now that do different things for us. So in terms of EXP and medals, we've got basically 5 fighters. All good to go. Right, let's shuffle that one away. That's the one with the most experience points. Okay. So the easy move here, of course, is the usual Galland setup, which is Galland. I had shock on him before, but it always ends up biting me in the ass, so we're going to take that off and put entrenchment killer on instead. Actually, no, we're not, because I've got a better idea for entrenchment killer, so we'll unassign that. But the usual thing was to put hit and run on him because he adds to initiative which means that he's going to have more initiative than anybody else, so it effectively becomes no retaliation. And there's nothing else really to do with him. He's already got aggressive counterattack built into Galland. So there's really nothing to add here. Just these two is fine for his role in shooting down enemy fighters. But now we have Bar. Now he does not add to initiative, so you can't put hit and run on him and then pretend like that's no retaliation. And I don't really have any spare no retaliations floating around either. But what we can do is if we put wherever it's gone, entrenchment killer on him, then when we're done shooting down the enemy air force, we can actually use this double attack to ruin enemy entrenchment. So if we have an enemy who is 10 entrenched, we could send this guy over and double attack and strip away 6 entrenchment. Literally taking the, if it's a city tile, the minimum is 4. So we can literally take someone's entrenchment from full to nothing by strafing them with this fighter. And he will be there to support Galland. He won't be striking fast on his own. We could put readiness on him as well to create a situation where he will not. It would be very difficult to pick him off. I also like aggressive counterattack on fighters, but I have a different plan for that. So that will do for now. Okay, so the next thing is to decide which other tanks we want to bring, because we've got all our basics of our standard together. This really is the standard. We got some infantry to handle whatever situations. We got some tanks for heavy duty engagement. We've got some recons for scouting and support, especially during the rain. We've got some artillery, including one that can defend against artillery and one that can defend against all other targets. In an ideal world, I'd probably want a third 15cm here, but well, I could probably afford a third 15cm here, but it wouldn't be 15 strength, it would be 10 strength. That is certainly something that we could add to give ourselves just that little bit more defense. In fact, this incredibly sort of over-leveled one, if we make this one the 10 strength 15cm, then at least we're actually using one that's you know, it won't be that strong because it's only 10 strength, but because it's high level, it will be strong. So this is the core of our defense here. And then we've got our anti-tank / anti-air. Sort of at the point now where we've got loads of core slots, we might consider adding more. The only thing about that is that I do not possess any more anti-air that's got steamroller. I guess I don't really need to have any more anti-air that's got steamroller. It's only one slot, so why not? At some point, you know, cross-class and all that good stuff. So yeah, so the core of the army is all back together now. The standard is pretty much back there. So now we're back to looking at tanks or infantry, but mostly tanks. So there's plenty of open space to operate with throughout the whole area. More up here and less down here, but still plenty to work with. So we've got our Nerful Zerg, which is quite slot intensive, but I like its power. It's a very powerful tank at this stage of the game. This will probably be the first tank to be, you know, the first gift tank that will become something else that I'll upgrade away. But while it possesses 16 and 16, while it possesses these solid stats, it's worth deploying. Because we can put readiness on it, so it shoots first, which means that that hateful gun is going to come to bear. There we go. I wonder if aggressive counterattack stacks. I don't know if it stacks. So I guess we'll just I don't know what to put on it really. Put shock tactics on it, why not? Okay, in terms of our recons, I do like them having distraction and fearsome reputation. Put distraction on this one as well. You could put river assault on both of these as well, so they are very flexible in where they can sit and be annoying. Okay, unyielding is very useful on anti-aircraft artillery because it prevents the enemy from suppressing it. I would suggest... I'm not sure who to put the old fast learner and learns from mistakes on. We could also run readiness on either one of these guys. To make them unpalatable. Readiness is actually very good on infantry as well. Maybe better than no surrender. The only thing is that readiness combines really well with it combines very well with aggressive counterattack. So maybe that's the wrong unit for the task. Oh man, it's thoughts. Like, you know, having to put everything back together again is really quite annoying. Okay, let's bring the 3H out and the Vergerder. So this is prototype kit at the moment. So maybe I would be wise to bring the strength up and make this tank unpalatable. by giving it readiness and aggressive counterattack. That will help preserve a unit that is otherwise pretty easy to kill. Well, not easy to kill, but you know, it would be easy to kill by attrition because I can never replace it even between missions since it's prototype gear. Okay, so that leaves us with Ignores Entrenchment, and I've actually got a great idea for Ignores Entrenchment. Why not stick it on this guy? He can ignore the entrenchment when he attacks, and then smash the entrenchment down. It's just a shame that he doesn't have enough soft or hard kills to actually get bonuses here. This is the only place where air cross-classing is actually quite useful. Is adding ground attack to fighters. Also, if you get your hands on some British planes, the Hurricane in particular has really nice ground attack for a fighter. I also like Ignores Entrenchment on these guys. In fact, I think that's what I had earlier. Do you know what? We'll go Ignores Entrenchment on here, actually, so I can use this for face smashing as required. What that does do is it frees up the aim assistance dude, which really helps with the whole EXP gathering thing. So the ultimate, if you will, EXP gathering combo. Hang on. Before I talk about the ultimate EXP gathering combo, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with this guy, who is pretty much maxed out level-wise. Let's have this guy ignore zone of control again. He was really good for zipping around and getting behind people. Cheap replacements, in case I send it back to repair it. Which this tank is actually fast enough to get back for repairs. And do I want envelopment on this thing? Sure, why not? Okay, so that leaves us with 2 slots. And I think most of my tanks cost 3. So what would be nice is to get some EXP on some of these guys. And steamroll, of course, would also be nice. At least the good thing about recons is I can convert them to tanks for just 1 star of experience. So when the time comes to start putting Steamroller on more recon cars, I can just convert these and retain, at least the ones that are over 2 stars will retain most of their EXP. In fact, I think that's a great idea. We'll bring another recon car, shall we? Or shall I make a cut somewhere? Just a minor cut. Do you know what? I really don't need these to be as overstrengthed as they are. I'll keep the one that's really dangerous overstrengthed. So, yeah, so the EXP gathering trick, if you will. I'm going to convert this one back to just to a normal tank so I can get the Char B ones out for someone else. So let's say this guy who's got the least EXP at the moment. So we convert him to whatever. We'll go with Char B1 because that's what I just freed up. I actually got quite a lot of them. Okay, so I got a Char B1 lined up and ready to go. We just check it compared to the other tanks and we can see that it is pretty much better because of its massive defense. It's a little bit slower though. I don't think it's as good as the 3H though. Wow, defensively it is. Okay, whatever. I mean, it's nice to have a tough tank anyway. The trick is to put fast learner. Obviously, we've got learns from mistakes. Why not? Aiming assistance. Because the fast learner thing is going to double for aiming assistance, and so every time this unit is next to another unit that attacks, it's going to gain EXP, and that EXP is going to be doubled, so pretty simple. Just stick my legendary guy in there, because why not? Blomph, off you go. And actually, let's I've already made enough cuts, so let's just take one. Let's just take a recon that's low on stars and start leveling it up. Ready for conversion. But I won't put my legendary hero on it in case it dies. Let's put my legendary hero on, not this guy. I don't know if it stacks on the same unit, so I'm just gonna... really just gonna avoid putting it on... avoid putting it on a unit that's already got the same trait, because I'm not 100% sure that they stack. Okay, so this core is not exactly the same as the one I had before, but... It's been developed according to my standard, and I'll get used to it. Okay, so 42 minutes later, we're ready to look at the map. But honestly, I had a look at this map before I started recording this video, and it's just a very small, and I'm talking literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pace. Literally, the furthest objective from the front line is like of a pace of about 8. Although, I mean, my start positions are back here. No, they're not. They're actually all the way up here. Yeah. So the pace is about 8, which is that's a pretty easygoing pace for 25 turns. There's a nice big open space here right in the center of the map where I can just get my army out. So I think that's what I will be doing. So, to that end, we're going to buy some auxiliary stuff. And the auxiliary stuff I'm going to buy is going to be just some garbage. Note with auxiliary units, we're not really concerned about the slot costs. This is raised. These hill areas here are actually perfect for the hill infantry, the alpine infantry. We're not concerned about slots, so we will just overstrength them like crazy, because who cares? So we'll add 2 of them, put them here and here, or here and like here. What are you doing? I'm just going to put some units here to just hold the line while I bring my main force down the middle and just smash everything. And then I will decide, based on what Rommel is doing, whether I need to sweep up to help him or sweep down here. As with any defensive engagement, we want some cheap anti-tank, but I'm going to buy motorized because it's really no more expensive. The main cost is in slots, not in money. The price is only 30 difference. So we'll buy a couple of these as well. Once again, we don't really care about slots because we have more auxiliary slots than we will ever use. The next thing, obviously, is to just add some scout planes. You know, once again, it may feel like an overbuy, but they're so inexpensive, and they distract the enemy like crazy. Okay, and these guys are going to be operating down here on their own, so what they also require is some anti-air, and once again... Now, I must admit, I don't like deploying auxiliary anti-air, so I might deploy one of my real anti-airs down there to assist, or just presume that my fighters can clean up, because anti-air actually is expensive, prestige-wise. The slot cost is not great, all things considered. So yeah, we'll put these guys. Do you know where it would be ideal? Is actually like here and here. These guys here can be like here and here, and then to put these in the center, something along those lines, or on the hills. One thing that we do have to remember, of course, is that we have poor ground control, so maybe what we can also do is just buy a load of these, which cost very little, and just liberally sprinkle this garbage around. Okay, so that's where my army is going to be. We'll leave one here. We can actually stick it in a transport plane as well if we wish, but we'll leave one here just to cover this airport, because that's where my aircraft are going to be. Yeah, we'll stick the rest of them here and we'll just march them down. Ooh. What I'll do with this one is I'll load it into the airport and then I'll land it here. So that'll be pretty simple to do. We'll put these... Yeah, we'll probably put these like here and here, or sorry, this one here and this one like say here potentially, or here, and then the anti-tank in here to cover them, and then move these guys around to defend the anti-tank. Something along those lines. All it's got to do is hold the line for me while I bring my main force down the center and kill everything. Okay, so speaking of the center force, do you know what? This light anti-aircraft gun here can probably assist these boys. I can always retreat it if things go wrong. Alright, so 21cm gun. Put the artillery in front. This is a road tile, so we can just drive on. This is swamp and rail, which doesn't help me, so... is this the aggressive deployment one? It is not. Let's go here. Then support that with the tanks, putting the slowest tanks in the front. But not in this swamp tile, because it's going nowhere fast if it's there. The infantry will move neatly through the swamp. With aggressive deploy... Well, I mean, my infantry is actually very quick, so it doesn't need to be on the front, to be fair. Yeah, that's fast. These units, because of their transports, they're quite quick. Grand Theft Deluxe. I'm almost tempted to actually send this one particular tank. I'll put it here. I'm almost tempted to send this one down here and use it surgically to help in the defense of this area while I'm just holding that area. Stealing critical units that are dangerous. Okay. Where is... Okay, so this is the one that's got additional movement thanks to Oler, or whatever the hell his name is. So I'll put that one in the swamp. These guys can go around in their transport. They've got aggressive deployment. And then we've got the Neffel, whatever, the Zerg. This is the fastest tank, so we put it the furthest back. And then, of course, the recon cars are the fastest units, so they can go right at the very back. Okay, now, which airbase are we going to operate from? Is the question. The middle airbase... The middle airbase is actually quite far back from the front line. Once I push forward and establish a front line here, it's actually going to be quite far back from the front. This airbase is actually quite close to the front line if you really think about it, because Rommel starts back here. So he's going to be like here next turn and then probably trying to break across. Okay, so... I think we'll do a split. We just need to keep an eye on the weather because this airbase is obviously going to be undefended. Put the heavy. We'll put the heavy down here and then I'll put the other three up here. So in this way my air force is best positioned to provide support in this theatre, which is where I'm defending, and this theatre where Rommel is either attacking or defending. I don't know what the hell he's doing. The aircraft will be the least useful in the centre theatre, which is where I will be on the attack. So I can just come right in and just carve like a big angry ice cream scoop. I'm just going to cut a huge path through this area and then assess the situation here. Assess the situation here as the battle develops as to where I need to be. And I could even decide if these areas are holding steady to just push right down and like push the British and French off the map and camp their spawns. I've got choices. Right, and I've actually used a lot of auxiliary slots, but I've used a lot of auxiliary slots, more than I would normally use, but since this is a take and hold mission, I could do with the extra units to take and hold, and since I can't repair anyway, these units are going to get ground down and I'll probably end up replacing them. I've only got one... This is really annoying. I've got one supply tile. There's only one supply hex on the entire map, and it's blocked by this bloody supply dump, which means I can't use it. Oh, or can I? Can I just disband it? Ha! Great. Excellent. Just disband the stupid supply dump. Now I can actually use that tile to repair. Glorious. I am interested in the fact that this bunker is 10 strength, whereas these ones are just 3. Makes you wonder if they're going to just push down there. Okay, that's it for deployment. It was a long one because I had to redo everything from scratch, which is just total pain in the ass, rather than just adjusting what I have. And I think we're good to go, and I am ready to once again get farming. Get farming. I decided to bring this out of retirement. I must admit, his stats are amazing. May we steamroll them all. That is it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.